Let's start the day with Brian Aitken, founder and CEO of Topple Network Inc.
What is it? This is my name. Get it? Wrong man. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me again. For those of you who haven't made it, Topple has been hosting a series of firearms marketing talks every day here at IWA. The first day was data-driven marketing with Amy Dillon from Aero Precision. She spent 12 years as an analyst in the Marine Corps before she became a marketing analyst for Aero Precision and Stag Arms. They're one of our partners, so they're a big advertiser with Topple. The second day, I spoke on how global brands can enter into the American market. And yesterday, we were lucky enough to have Perry, marketing director from Victos, up on stage, talking about really how to humanize that relationship and how important it is to not just look at data and sales, but also the people behind the business and the relationships that matter so much. Today, I'll be speaking about really the ultimate firearms advertising masterclass. So I think it makes sense to really take a step back and think about what our objectives are and what we're trying to do and who we can actually work with. You know what? Actually, I'll tell you a little bit about myself first. So my name's Brian Aitken. I'm the founder and CEO of Topple. I spent about 20 years in digital advertising, mostly on Madison Avenue. I built the paid media practice areas for Ketchum. I built the paid media practice area for Edelman, two of the biggest public relations firms in the world. After I did that, I moved on to Assembly, which was one of the biggest digital advertising media holding companies, which is up there with Omnicom and PhD. In total, I managed about $6 billion in advertising for Hewlett-Packard, 20th Century Fox, E-Trade, Conagra, Pfizer, Ferrari, you name it. I've probably been involved in some sort of advertising campaign for that industry. It was around 2020 that I decided that I wanted to bring everything that I had done in advertising technology for my Madison Avenue clients and bring it to a community of people that I love who weren't able to access the ad tech that all of my other clients were able to access on a regular basis. And frankly, they almost took it for granted. The first thing that you have to do, I think, is choose your partners wisely. So Meta doesn't really want to work with you, despite everything that Zuckerberg says on the Joe Rogan podcast. He will let you post organically, but only 2% of your organic posts are actually going to be seen by your followers. And then when you go to promote those posts, they're going to run into all sorts of censorship issues, and that's if they don't delete your account altogether. The same is true with Google, the same is true with the Trade Desk, the same is true with a bunch of other digital advertising platforms and demand-side platforms. So when you're thinking about who do we work with, the focus of this conversation is really going to be on Topple because we are the world's largest firearms-friendly digital advertising platform. So what do we do and what does that look like for you guys? Well, we unite the top conservative firearms and hunting websites into one easy-to-use platform. If you don't want to talk to a human being and you don't want to speak to an account manager and you just want to get started on your own, in your underwear, in your bedroom, you can do that. You don't have to actually pick up the phone or meet with anybody. It's a self-serve platform. You can go to app.wearetopple.com, create an account, load your campaign, and you're off to the races. And in doing so, you can reach over 1,200 different websites and start reaching millions of firearms and hunting consumers within minutes. When you do that, you really need to think about all the different publications that we have access to that you wouldn't have access to even if Google let you advertise. So, for example, Google doesn't have any relationship with GunBroker. Google doesn't want any relationship with AR15.com. Topple has the exclusive programmatic advertising partnership with GunBroker and their entire portfolio of websites. So that includes gundeals.com, that includes GunGenius, that includes FFL Unleashed. And of course, we also have relationships with publications on here that aren't even listed, like AmmoLand, like Major League Fishing, like Trout and Salmon, like The Blaze, like The Federalist. So we're reaching not just firearm sites where obviously anybody who's really diehard into building their own precision rifles or building their ARs or their AKs or personal defense, we know they're going to be on GunBroker and AR15.com. But those net new customers that you're looking for, they might not have discovered those websites yet. So for that reason, we serve ads on those other related sites like the Blaze, the Federalist, where we can start bringing them into the community. So once you've kind of identified where your customers are, whether they're new customers or if they're diehard hunters, the next step is get your tracking in place. You can't measure what you can't track. And one of the most common frustrations for me is that brands will get started without creating any pixels, without getting any tracking in place, without really thinking about what goals they're trying to achieve. And then they just start spending money. And maybe they start with like $500 a month, and maybe they think it's good, and they get a budget increase, and they start spending $5,000 or $10,000 a month. And then I get a phone call 3 months into it saying, hey, we've spent $15,000. We don't know if anything's worked. It's like, well, that can actually be one of the pitfalls of having a self-serve advertising platform, because if we did take a minute to have a conversation, we could have talked about all of the different goals that we can track on your website, because this is not like going to an endemic website and saying, Jaeger magazine, we want to advertise on your site, or Field Sports Journal, we want to advertise on your site, or Shooting UK, or GunBroker, right? We have access to all of that data in real time, so we can not just track impressions and clicks, those front-end metrics, but we can track all of the things that are happening after the click, right? So we can track, are people signing up for newsletters? Are people adding items to the cart? Are people completing purchases? So you're getting access to all of that data that you want to be able to have, but if you don't take the first step to actually get your tracking in place, you won't be able to do that. So this is just a visual of what that experience looks like. This is an example of one of our customers called BioFire. They sell a smart gun. They're only taking deposits. I think the deposit amount is $149. Now, what they're able to do, because they have tracking set up all over, is they can actually identify all of the different users that are coming to their site from Topple and say, great, we want to segment these ones. We want to pour the gas on these audiences and these creatives, because these are the audiences and creatives that are leading to deposits. And then what we can also do is we can run abandoned cart campaigns. So if somebody says, oh, I'm interested, I'm going to continue, and they don't complete the checkout process, well, great. We can place a pixel on that continue button, so that way we know somebody has added the item to the cart, they've shown purchase intent, but maybe they didn't complete the purchase. So when we're going into the campaign creation process, we can negatively target the individuals that completed the purchase and positively target the people who added the item to the cart, and that creates an abandoned cart campaign. So really, this is stuff that all of the big direct-to-consumer brands take for granted. All of the big box companies are doing this every single day, but the firearms industry really hasn't had access to this technology due to all the censorship in the industry. When I say that it's really easy to do, it truly is. On the sidebar, there's a left-hand title that says pixels. If you click on that, you'll be prompted to create one of two different pixels. You can either create the conversion pixel, which is going to track actual goals, so sales goals, or something that has a monetary value. And there's 3 different conversion pixels that Topple offers. One of them is a no-value conversion pixel, and that's when you just want to track whether or not a goal has been completed. So we might use that if somebody wants to sign up for like a newsletter, right? So it's like, we want to know if people from Topple's ad campaigns are signing up for our newsletters, but there's no real monetary value to that. So for that, you would create a no-value conversion pixel. Now, maybe there's some other goal that you want somebody to complete, like a dealer locator tool. Maybe you have something on your website that allows people to know a local retailer where they can buy your product, but you don't really know how to assign some sort of monetary value to that. So something that we've done with one of our optics clients is said, okay, what's the average order value of your product? Let's be very conservative with it. Let's say it's $1,200. Okay, now, how many people who use your dealer located tool actually wind up completing a purchase at that local retailer? Is it 10%? Let's be conservative. Let's say it's 10%. So now we can assign a fixed value, and so this would be a fixed value conversion pixel of $120. So everybody who completes that goal, we're assigning a value of $120. So that way, when the report actually has to go up to the CFO or the company owner, they can see some sort of monetary metric associated with that goal completion and say, yeah, this is working, this makes sense, we should keep doing that. And then, of course, as everyone's favorite, if you do sell direct to consumer and you do have an e-commerce website, which is the dynamic value conversion pixel, where there's a data value parameter inside of the conversion pixel, and all you have to do is swap that out, and then we can track the actual cart value of the order that's been placed. So that way, when you log into your account and you're looking at, oh, impressions have been, this many impressions, this many video views, this many clicks, oh, that's great, the click-through rate is here, that's good to know. Oh, but I can see that I've had this many sales, it generated this much revenue, and this is my return on investment. And you can see all of that inside of Topple. You don't need to worry about pairing it with any other data source. It's very easy to do. Now, I say it's very easy to do because I've done it a lot. But it can be overwhelming for somebody who's never done it before. So yes, Topple is a self-serve platform. It's great that you can do it alone if you know what you're doing and if you have the experience, but you shouldn't feel like you have to do it on your own. We partner with third-party agencies that can help you create the pixels, install the pixels on your website, test and validate to make sure that they're actually working. Now, one of the most common errors that people run into is they get the dynamic conversion pixel placed on their website, right? It's on the order confirmation page, which is exactly where it should be. And for some reason, that conversion value is not getting passed back to Topple. So they can't see the actual order value in the dashboard. For $500, one of our partner agencies will actually do all of this for you. And what I normally tell my customers is, if this takes 5 hours of your time, or if it takes 10 hours of your time, isn't that worth $500? Now, what we also offer is we have subscription packages. And if you're at the advanced level, we'll actually cover that cost for you guys. So that way, you don't have to worry about it. We'll take care of it for you. Now, once you've got tracking in place, the next thing to focus on is investing in great creative. Because if you have a great product, you need to communicate that to the users that you're getting in front of. And if you're on a website like, let's say, GunBroker, for example, or GunTrader in the UK, those people have gone to that website with a very specific intent. They're not there to look at your ad. They're not there to go and check out your company. So you have to compete with their attention on the content that they went there to consume. Maybe they went to go look at auction items. Maybe they went there to go read an article or watch a video. So your creative needs to be good enough that you capture and steal the attention away from the content that they wanted to consume in the first place, and then go to your website. Now, with that, obviously, you've got Arrow Precision. This is one of their best performing GIF ads. These guys know how to get people to buy product. It seems simple, right? It seems very clean. This drove a ton of sales and tens of thousands of dollars in revenue in a very short period of time. It was just for a short holiday, a tiny little Labor Day sale. The other ad is an ad from Victos. It just started running, and what I love about this next ad, and I'm going to play it for you, it's a video ad. What I love about it is it really shows how powerful your creative can be when you're not constrained by the limits of censorship with Meta and Google, right? Like, we want you to be as creative as you possibly can. Like, you shouldn't feel like you can't show your firearms, like you can't show your ammunition, like you can't show belt-fed machine guns and explosions. We want you to be able to see it all. So with that, I'll go ahead and I'll play this video ad that's currently running all across the United States right now for Victos. All right, so the big takeaway there is Google and Meta are not going to let you run that ad. But you can run that ad across Topple to your target consumer all day, every day with Topple. And honestly, the more the better. The more belt-fed machine guns, the more explosions, the better. Show people deer hunting. Show people, going ibex hunting in Tajikistan. We want to see all of it, whether it's, some sort of like tactical video or if it's just a hunting video. Show it all. Now, the next thing to do is make sure that you get all of your ads created easily. We've tried to make this as simple as possible. There's 7 steps to create a campaign, and honestly, I've had to work inside of a lot of demand-side platforms that are hyper-technical, and it seems like you need to hire KPMG to actually create and launch these campaigns, but it doesn't have to be that challenging and difficult. So we've distilled it down into the most basic 7 steps in order for somebody to be able to create a campaign in like 2 to 3 minutes. Now, there are some common pitfalls that people run into when creating campaigns. One of them is not knowing how much to set their maximum CPM for. So when you're creating the campaign, a CPM, I'll take a step back, a CPM is the cost per 1,000 impressions. So if you're not familiar with that, that's generally how digital advertising is paid for. You pay on thousands of impressions or clicks or video views. And a lot of people are like, great, cool, how much should I spend on 1,000 impressions? Well, we've actually created a tool that would tell you, based on the geography that you're targeting and the interests of the person that you want to reach and the ad size and format that you've selected, what the average CPM has been for the last 30 days. And then we add a little bit extra on top of that to make sure that you have a competitive CPM. So you don't actually need to think about, oh, what's a comfortable CPM? We'll do all of the analysis in a matter of seconds, milliseconds, and we'll tell you what the recommendation is for you, given the audience that you want to reach. But let's say that you want to crowd out a competitor. You know that your competitor is using Topple. You know that they're going after the same audience that you're going after, and you don't want to let them win. If that's the case, there is a crowding out strategy where you can set an uncapped max CPM. So you would just leave that toggle unactivated. And when you do that, you'll bid as much as is necessary to beat out all of the competitors in the space to win the attention of that person. Only set a total campaign budget or an end date if you absolutely have to. And there's times when that's appropriate. But the 2 most common questions that I get, or rather the 2 most common reasons for the most common question that I get is, why did my campaign stop running? And it's either because they set a total campaign budget and they reached that total campaign budget, and then a week passes and they're like, hey, my campaign's not running. It's like, yeah, you set $5,000 for that campaign and you spent $5,000 on that campaign, so it stopped running. But a lot of people will forget that they did that, and then they reach out to us. We have to take a quick look, and we let them know, and then they deactivate it. Now, if you have a set budget that you have to work within, absolutely use a total campaign budget. If you have to have an end date, like let's say it's a holiday sale, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, whatever the case might be, then yes, of course, use a campaign end date. But if the intention is to have like an evergreen, always-on campaign, you always want to be in front of your target audience, don't set the end date because it's just going to stop the campaign on that date. And then finally, ensure that you have the budget to meet your goals. So if you do a little bit of math, you might think $15,000 a month for a nationwide campaign, I'm going to use America as an example, is a lot of money. But when you think about the fact that we've got 5 different display formats and video, that's 6 different ad formats that you're cutting up across 30 days and 50 states. When you take $15,000, you divide it among the 6 different ad formats, you divide that by 30 days, and you divide that again by 50 different states, you're really only spending $1.67 per state, per day, per campaign. It's less than a cup of coffee when you actually put it in that perspective. If you don't have that much money and you don't have more, you need to start thinking about how can I be more creative with my strategy? And we're happy to have that conversation with you because there are some things that you can do. One of the things that companies often do is they say, we want to set our campaign pacing to quick delivery, which means we're going to go after our target audience first thing in the morning and serve as many ads as possible. But that's what everybody is doing. So the highest costs are going to be first thing in the morning when people are waking up and looking at their cell phone. That's when everybody's waking up. It's a great time to capture attention. A lot of sales happen early in the morning, or a lot of sales consideration happens in the morning when people see the ad and they click and go to the website. However, everybody else is going after the same person at that time of day, first thing in the morning. So you can instead use day parting to say, we're going to wait. We're going to launch our campaign at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We have that ability built into the self-serve platform. So you can say, these campaigns are going to launch at 1. We're going to let everybody else spend $10, $12, $15 for every 1,000 impressions that's served. We're going to spend $6 at 1 p.m. We're going to go after the same audience, but at a different time of day. Another thing that you can do is, instead of selecting quick delivery, you can say distribute evenly throughout the day. So these are two different pacing options that you have when you're creating a campaign. So instead of spending all of your money, all of your budget for the day, first thing that day, you can pace it out evenly. And we'll do that for you. All you have to do is select that during the campaign setup process. Here's a couple additional tips on what you can do to shorten the setup time. So when you're launching a campaign, it can kind of seem a little burdensome. You're creating one campaign, and then you've got to go ahead and create the next campaign. All of the steps are the same, right? The campaign start and end date's the same. The people that you want to reach and what they're interested in, where they're located, are probably the same. Well, we've created a campaign duplication feature. So all you have to do is click the copy button, and it'll copy over all of the targeting parameters and the date parameters and the pricing parameters, and then all you have to do is swap out the creative. So you upload the additional creative. If you have a different landing page that you want to drive people to for that particular product, you can do that. But other than that, everything else gets pasted over, so it makes launching a bigger campaign with a lot of different visuals, assets, and creative a whole lot easier. And then finally, let's say that like a campaign's actually been launched, and then you got a directive to extend the campaign or pause the campaign or increase the budget. Well, if you want to do that, you can just click on the bulk editing tool. So click on all the campaigns that you want to edit, and automatically the bulk editing tool will pop up, and you can select everything that you want to be able to edit within all of those campaigns. So that's going to cut down on your editing time exponentially. Something that might take 15 minutes could probably take about 15 seconds. Okay, so we've gotten all of the pixels created, everything's in place. We have some really beautiful creative that either our creative team or our agency has produced. Now what do we do? Well, it's a really great idea to create as many pieces of creative as possible and get them loaded into one campaign. Every single campaign within Topple can have up to 50 different pieces of creative. So you can do a lot of A/B testing, and we will automatically optimize towards the top performing creative. Now, within the self-serve platform, we automatically, by default, optimize towards the creative with the highest click-through rates. But if you're one of our subscribers, we have some custom bidding tools that we will build on your behalf. Now, the first time that we did this took us like 30 days, but we've gotten it down to like 5 minutes because we've automated everything and we've built out these tools. It will be available to self-serve users in the future, but right now, if you wanted to optimize all of your campaigns against a different metric, we can do that for you. All you have to do is let your account manager know, and we'll go ahead and create that custom bidder for you. But this is the example, again, from BioFire, because they created 8 different video ads, and they wanted to see, okay, there's 4 different video ads, and they're each cut 2 different ways. So they had 8 total pieces of video creative, and they wanted to see if any of them made any difference whatsoever in terms of driving purchases, those $149 deposits on their website. And what they found was there was actually a massive difference. People really preferred one video ad over the other. And if you're looking at them in a boardroom or a marketing meeting, you probably wouldn't be able to tell which one was going to lead to like exponentially more sales. But when all of the data came back in, we were able to tell this one did.
Safe versus the BioFire Smart Gun. Let's see which one is faster. Go. And there you have it. Safe versus the BioFire Smart Gun. SmartGun.com.
What I love about that ad is it takes something that could be kind of complicated to explain, and it makes it really easy to understand within a 15-second video ad. So I'm constantly talking to my other clients who have, dry fire products or complicated new features, and it's kind of difficult to explain, the new material or the new function and feature and how it works. That's not a super expensive video ad to produce. Like you could produce that with a very efficient budget and get that up in front of people, and they generated tens of thousands of dollars worth of deposits within the first 30 days that they ran that. And that's just the deposit. That's not the total sales after somebody's actually completed the purchase once the firearm has actually been built. 2 takeaways there. Great creative really helps, and A/B tests will let you know what's working and what to invest more money on. Now, we will automatically optimize towards one with the most clicks, but again, the campaign tool that we can build for you in order to optimize against sales is something that you can get from us if you speak to your account manager. That kind of leads to the next thing. We only have a few minutes left, but I don't want you to neglect your post-click user experience. So we don't build websites. We don't do web design. We're a digital advertising platform like Google. But it's really important that your website is actually up and running, it loads quickly, and that wherever you're sending people to makes a lot of sense. So it doesn't necessarily make sense if you're showing off a new hunting rifle to take somebody to your homepage, or if you've come out with a new accessory line to take somebody to your homepage or to a newsletter sign-up form. Take people to where they naturally think that they would land. So if you're showing them a new jacket, take them to the product page for that jacket. They can navigate around your site once they've gotten there, but the user is expecting, once they've clicked on that product ad, to be taken to the product page. So just take a second to think about where you're actually driving people once they've clicked and engaged with an ad. And then obviously, make sure it's well designed, easy to navigate, and streamline the entire discovery process for the user once they actually get there. It makes our job of helping you drive sales a whole lot easier. Finally, analyze, optimize, and iterate. If you haven't been in Topple's dashboard and created any campaigns, this is an example of what it looks like. All of the data is available in real time. You can see sales, you can see revenue, you can see return on investment. We have a metric called profit as well, which is really your CFO will yell at you if you call it profit. It's technically net revenue, but it is your revenue minus your ad spend. So you can actually see what your return on ad spend is and how much money each different campaign is generating you after you've spent money on advertising. So I know there's probably been a lot, but if you guys have any questions, I'll be over there. And of course, if we're not able to meet up today, we can obviously set up time to talk in person or on a demo. That's my last talk for IWA, so thank you guys for showing up.
Thank you very much, Brian. This was an interesting topic.